When you look back now, with it so fresh in your mind, over all of it, can you put it into words?
I don't know that I can. From the outset, several of my fellow judges and I, when this case was indicted, we were all like, oh my God, I hope I don't get that case. And then I was the fortunate one. And so I just tried to focus on, this is a murder trial. Let's do what we always do in a murder trial. Make certain we're fair to both sides, and everything will work out fine.
This is possible, but can I give her a hug, please?
As a judge, when you see the brother of a victim hug the person responsible, what does that do?
That reminds me that we're all human. That at this moment in time, Botham Jean, the youngest person involved in this trial, was an example to all of us of what we should be. He took his brother's life, incorporated that into his thoughts, his upbringing, his belief, and wanted for Miss Guyger what he believed his brother would want for her. And I think his request to hug her, which would have been the personification of his forgiveness, I think it caught all of us off guard.
That embrace, certainly one moment. Another moment would have come with a second embrace.
At the end of almost every one of my trials, and certainly those where someone has died, I always go to the victim's family and express my condolences to them. And it's not uncommon for me to talk to defendants either. I just said to her, Miss Guyger, Mr. Jean has forgiven you. Please forgive yourself so that you can live a purposeful life. And she said, do you think my life can still have purpose? And I said, I know it can. Absolutely, it can. She said to me, well, I don't even have a Bible. And she said, do you think God will forgive me? I said, yes, he will. He will. And she said, I don't have a Bible. I don't own a Bible, and I don't know where to begin. And I just said, well, hold on, I'm going to get you a Bible.
You give her that Bible, and then she asks you for something else.
Mm-hmm. She said, can I hug you? I'm ashamed to say I paused because I was looking at her, and then I just saw somebody that was really, really hurting. And then my memory said, your job is to do justice, to love mercy, and walk humbly. So how can you not hug this lady? And she asked me a second time, and I said yes. And I should have said yes the first time.
To those who say you overstepped as a judge, what do you say?
Well, it's sad that they have that opinion, particularly today, when all we hear about is we need to reform the criminal justice system. We need to treat the criminals as persons. We need to bring more compassion in sentencing. But Ms. Guyger seems to be somebody who's searching for a purpose. And I think if we meet her with love and compassion, we might help her find that. And then Botham Jean's death would not have been in vain.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.